Thank you, Puckett. And guys, I regret to inform you there was no ball to begin with. It can't even be dropped, Bren.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my goodness. I do agree with Sideshow, the tank plays. I think the tanks are going to have to step up for Singularity. But important to note as well that previously, it was GamersOrigin that lost against Bazooka Puppies on Hanamura. That was the previous week. So Hanamura is going to be the map pick. As you can see, Bazooka Puppies, I should say, Singularity have done their homework on this one. They know that it's going to be the weakest map for GamersOrigin, and they're going to be trying to take them to it.
Well, it was also the map where the Doomfist from Leaf looked the most mortal, right? Where he wasn't quite able to be a Superman as consistently as he was. Bazooka Puppies did find the answer in just dealing with him, where they isolated him out more, focused him down more. The problem is for Singularity is that I'm not sure Singularity has shown as much as even Bazooka Puppies did in trying to adapt to this Doomfist.
Yeah, it's a real struggle because in the past, teams have tried to run things like Sombra, McCree to run against the Doomfist, lots of sort of stuns, hacking potential, I guess, to try and stop him. We haven't seen any of that from Singularity. They've been sticking with their game plan that they know and love, which is pretty much just a 2-2 dive composition.
Right, and it's a case where we've seen teams run this, of course, quite a bit over the last few months, but we're in a time of evolution and adaptation, and this is where you have to recognize, look, the Doomfist is being a problem. What do we run to deal with it? And for a lot of teams, the answer has been to bring out a McCree to try and be that hero. So maybe we'll see Singularity make a shift towards that here.
We may indeed, we may indeed. Definitely not biased at all, as we can see the teams, the loadouts before the rest of the guys. But yeah, Mendez might actually popped out the McCree indeed to try and counteract it. GamersOrigin still have a lot of options. Craggy on the Torb. Will we see this? Is he just trolling? What's going on? Where's he placed that turret? Is that on their second point? Turn around, Craggy.
It is on the second point.
He's just admiring the view, isn't he?
It's really hard to say what's going to go on here, but he might be taking a dip over the ledge.
Torbjorn doesn't get out much. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why he doesn't get out much. When he goes on railings, he just manages to fall off, and
he just,
it's a bad way.
He just really just doesn't like leaving Sweden, you know? He just hates leaving his home country. But Craggy will be moving on to the Tracer role. The ball, is that going to be dropped?
So, well, there is a ball. We lied. There is a ball in play right now, and in fact, Anna is making us liars. So
we don't listen to the analyst test there, but
yeah, clearly, what do we know? But you take a look at Singularity and their defense. They are bringing out the McCree, so this is a change from how they've been trying to deal with GamersOrigin thus far. It does put a lot of pressure on Mendez, though, to land those shots and suppress Leaf. Meanwhile, GamersOrigin, they're going in as 5, and Hardest is kind of left behind.
Oh my goodness. Leaf gets the initial pick, and it doesn't even matter, like, if Hardest gets a pick now, oh, it's the cherry on the top, because look at that, already a 2-man advantage. Can you ask for anything better right now? GamersOrigin going to be slamming this one ahead as they take the fight 4v6.
Easy stuff for GamersOrigin, but I do like the idea of running a Widow here early on when you know the other team's going to be running a McCree, because that's a very good matchup for the Widowmaker. It's hard for McCree to avoid the Widow in that situation, and Hardest landed the shot he needed to. Mendez was not a factor in that fight.
I mean, he thought he was safe because of Danny's defense matrix, but even then it just was not, it just wasn't there at all. Finally, Danny will fall in the end, a bit of a late spawn, but nothing to really take advantage of. And GamersOrigin, I like this. In the past, when they played Hanamura, they tried to run the Reinhardt Zarya tank compositions. This time, they're scrapping that. They're sticking with the composition they ran for the initial attack, and they're going to be trying to take it with a pure dive sort of composition.
And they do have a swap up here. Hardest moving now to 7-6. Only one to run the Widow in the beginning, but GamersOrigin diving right in, not really waiting long at all. And they're staying really healthy as they take the high ground. They've taken the high ground successfully. This is a problem for Singularity, and it's going to get even worse as time goes on.
Well, Leaf has his Meteor Strike, but he's really just looking for the pick opportunities to lead it in with the Rocket Punch, I should say. But let's get the D-Mech down to Danny. That could be relatively important. Now, the Transcendence forced out a little bit early on. He needs to keep his team alive, but they're all falling. Calyx with the Bio Grenade is doing so much damage mitigation and stopping the healing.
He needed to get to Ben Best. He wasn't able to get there quite in time. He was a little bit further away. He was in a good defensive position in the back line. The problem was that when the Transcendence came up, it was just a little bit too far away to support his tanks and keep them in the fight. And that's a very nice break now for Singularity, because GamersOrigin effectively threw that Transcendence into the trash.
Yeah, that's a real waste of a good support ult there. They could have used that to initiate into this next fight, possibly trade evenly with Singularity's own Transcendence, but now Singularity is sitting on this ult advantage with the defense as well. They should be in a pretty solid position to try and defend this. We see Leaf again, tries to move him with the Rocket Punch of his own. He is going to force him off the high ground, as we see so commonly, but they're just struggling to find a foothold onto the point.
They're not only just forcing him off the high ground, they're doing it without taking much damage at all. Singularity is not contesting well, and here comes Leaf. Over the top, the Meteor Meteor Strike, looking for his prey. In and grabs Monday. That's huge.
Straight into the back. Lind as well. His Transcendency tries to do it justice by keeping him alive. But Leaf, again, another follow-up kill. Tries to go for him to Danny as well, but he zips around the corner in the nick of time. Still, about half HP. Will get taken down at D-Mech most likely. Indeed, he does. Self-destruct comes out. The teams need to defend from it. They will. And still, this attack by GamersOrigin is looking strong.
It's looking very good. They have 2 ticks. They're about to get a third. You've got to get on the point, Singularity. They do. But for how long is Hardest to set up in the back? His own personal shooting gallery has everything in his sights and more as GamersOrigin piling on the pressure. Singularity in a boatload of trouble.
They are stalling this to a degree, but with nobody taking care of Hardest onto the back lines, this should be their fight. This should be their cap. Leaf is happy to just pound him into the spawn as well with the rocket punch, and there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 minutes, 45 seconds. If you had any doubts about GamersOrigin or Hanamura right now, I mean, Sideshow's certainly sweating on the analyst desk with this 3-1 prediction, definitely.
Well, that's what happens when you get greedy there, Bren. When you don't just stick with your original prediction, and you try and nail it down map by map, the arrogance will bite you. Sideshow, this is a lesson.
Absolutely. Don't want to be putting all your eggs in one basket, lad. He was definitely getting overconfident over there with his pick. He's thinking, yeah, I'm ahead. 40% pick rate so far. Again, nothing to scoff at, mate. I don't know what you were doing bragging about that one, but...
It's just weird because he's British, but he actually thinks he's playing baseball where doing well 40% of the time actually means you're a great player, so...
I mean, I don't even know the rules of baseball myself. Maybe he's getting confused a bit. Who knows? But Singularity versus GamersOrigin. Now we're going to be seeing the side switched up. GamersOrigin on the defense. D for defense here. And with the initial compositions we're seeing, I mean, you guys can see this as well. Bembest is going to be running the Ryan, Poco on the Zarya. Will they stick with this? Because this is a composition. Normally you see teams, they run a defensive dive. They run a 2-2-2 dive composition. This can work as well, however.
And GamersOrigin have been making these tank-heavy setups supported by the Doomfist work. The one thing that's a little bit interesting is that usually they've been running it with the McCree. This time around, Hardest will be going for the 76. Part of this, I think, it's twofold, right? A, Singularity hasn't given them any reason to fear a Doomfist right now.
Oh, they're switching.
And B, 76 is really good in this first point for Hanamura, where you just have really nice sight lines. So I think the 76er is actually okay for GamersOrigin.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. I think Hardest on the 76, you don't really want him on a roll like McCree or something because you don't know what composition that Singularity are running. McCree's definitely almost like a, I should say Soldier 76 is almost like a jack of all trades. He does a lot of things quite well. He's got the sprint to get out of positions. He's got the his own little biotic field for the heals and whatnot. But GamersOrigin, let's talk about this because they switched Bembest now to the Winston and Poco to the Diva. A lot more mobile, and this is a common composition. However, it's missing one of the key pieces that you normally see, which is the Lucio.
Lucio in play. It is worth noting here that Singularity has to be fast here. GamersOrigin set a lightning fast time, so if Singularity wants to keep this map and the series in contest, they need to do the same. Craggy already contesting Hardest on the top.
We're seeing him. He's looking for the opportunity. Hardest still just holding up top. I think he should realize this. And again, he gets picked off by Kellex. The long-range blaster just destroying him. And with that one pick, that set things up because now there's Craggy with 3 opportunities to try and get this pick here onto Pipu. Again, no Lucio to peel for him. Craggy destroys him, but it's going to be a 2-for-2 trade.
It's a 2-for-2, but that's really good for the offense. You like these trades when you have a respawn advantage. And so far, GamersOrigin, they are just absolutely in disarray. They will be cleaned up here on the point, and Singularity making it look rather easy. And I think part of why that happened is that you just saw the flank catch them off guard.
Yeah, Hardest falling initially early on in that engagement. I'm not sure if he got caught off guard by possibly Lind with a Discord orb or the damage was just too much, but you know, Kellex picking up the final kill, that's what really surprised me. Hardest has the capabilities to escape out of the way of harm. If he didn't fall there, that could have potentially been a hold still, but regardless of that, moving forward now, Singularity look to get on the attack. They've got almost 7 minutes to work with, which is plenty of time to try and get a decent time.
And the best scenario here for Singularity would be, you get the high ground, you make space, and then Monday can just get to that back center position, use attack visor, and have just about everything in his sights. But Monday goes down, and that dream scenario is already dead.
Danny tries to play the point as well at the same time, but will fall. Most likely going to get stalled up. In fact, they've just left him. There's already fights kicking off all over the place here, but it will be, again, in favor of GamersOrigin. Still, 6 minutes on the clock here for Singularity to try and make something work. They build up a few ultimates here and there, but GamersOrigin, they've got a few to defend with as well. I imagine we're probably going to see a Nano Winston popping it onto Bembest as the tactical visor isn't up for Hardest yet, but GamersOrigin can definitely defend this next one.
GamersOrigin has plenty of tools for the next one. Also, Leaf has been building his Doomfist ultimates very quickly, so if he lives even just a little bit in the fight, he'll have that as well. Singularity, they still do have that wing condition, but now it's a little bit more muddled. Pipu has a Transcendence. In any case, Singularity now coming in through the top and trying to get that position.
How many times has Kellex died in the initial fight here? Now, it's important to note, yeah, Leaf is absolutely destroying right now. Craggy's still in the back lines, but with these picks, Kellex seems to be falling at the start of the fight every single time. And he's always getting picked off, whether that's his team's fault or whether it's just Leaf playing out of his mind, I'm not too sure. But it's a real problem for them because they're coming into these engagements. 5v6, he's not building up the sound barriers very effectively, but it's really, you know, it's not great for Singularity in the slightest.
And to the point of people getting picked off early, Mendez, historically, when watching Singularity over the past 2 weeks, he's also getting picked off early because you stop and think about the push we're describing, here's our dream scenario. Mendez died early on, and that was that. Now, Singularity coming in again, but they're going up against just a blender of ultimates right now. It's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Both sides have lots of ultimates to use here, ZP. Lots of ultimates to defend with. Danny getting D-mexed off the bat is going to cause some problems for them. However, Mandy wants to answer back. Now the Meteor Strike. Leaf, I believe, wants to be using that one to initiate in. The sound barrier, I should say, will negate that to a degree, but still equal trade. And the Transcendent's going to be popped off as well by Singularity to try and prolong this one out.
There's a nice tack visor there. They assure the kill onto the Baby Diva, but the problem here for Singularity is that they lost too many people early on, and even when they invested the sound barrier and tack visor, the fight really wasn't going in their favor. And that just means respawns get to flow in from GamersOrigin, they get to defend the point, and there's really not much to say about it. No ticks are required.
Singularity ended up using a Transcendence there as well. It's worth mentioning here because now coming into this next fight, they've got no support ults to use. They're on a similar level to GamersOrigin when it comes to these man-on-man fights. Now, Danny does have the Self-Destruct, and we do see some initial changes. Singularity are finally making a switch. So Craggy, of all people now, going to be running that Doomfist. In the past, it was Mendez, but I feel like they realize they need something to sort of deal with Leaf on this Doomfist, and they think Craggy is the man for the job.
And Mendez into the McCree could be very good here. I like McCree on offense for Hanamura. Deadeye is particularly good. But now the fight is underway. GamersOrigin leaping up, going to be contesting high ground a little bit more aggressively, but also getting pushed off of that. Nerf, he got pushed to the side. He got caught out, and now GamersOrigin, they get to maintain the 6-5 fight.
Yeah, and it's these picks, like time and time again, Singularity are just losing a single player, and the fight is dead in the water every single time. They had almost 7 minutes to push this in, and already they're down to 3 minutes 20 seconds, and it is rough. Singularity, they've got no ults to work with. Support ults aren't even online yet. In fact, Pibu's going to be having his own Transcendence before that. The way it's been going is, they've been trying to initiate, but these getting picked off by Leaf has been costing them time and time again.
Not only has it been costing them, but they had very good windows that could have been used to win the game, but now they go up the top again. Leaf will back out, but this is a good Meteor Strike setup right now. He just gets to wait here, hold it. You see his Winston waiting down with Ben Best, and now he leaves the back line and goes for the McCree.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, look at that. Initial pick onto Mendez. The Self-Destruct will come out, won't connect onto anyone because the positioning was already there. Now the point will start to get played meanwhile, but this fight is being kicked off all over the place. The Seismic Slam from Leaf will connect onto 2 of them, and all they got to do is focus off that high ground. Now they can focus on the point, and they will be finding the kills just flowing for them. Leaf, rockets punching Kellex straight into the back walls of Hanamura. Once again, another defense, and ZP, 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Singularity, they've got support ults. They've got Craggy with his own Meteor Strike. Is this do or die time? Is this going to be one of the last opportunities they've got?
If they invest 4 ultimates into this fight and don't come up with anything, yes, this is effectively their window. If they can somehow turn to more of a junk rush where they can drain GamersOrigin, maintain some power, maybe they have another shot. But the way Singularity has been playing, this is really grim. And look at Hardest right now. Creeping in the back line, he's got a great opportunity for a Deadeye here.
That is beautiful. Deadeye setup is fantastic as well. Forces the positioning, picks up the kill. Danny gets D-mexed and another push dead in the water. Now, that was an eco push by Singularity. They were trying to force out the ultimates, as you mentioned. But again, another minute just shaved off the clock here. It's looking hard.
They didn't quite get enough out. I do think they have a slight advantage in support ultimates if they can keep everyone alive. So the key for Singularity here is that they need to have a good barrier where everyone's hit by the barrier, no one's dead. If they get picked off in the beginning here, Bren, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually convert this into a take.
They can't afford to lose even a single player here, ZP. Leaf is on the ball right away. He realizes they're going to be trying to push in through this upper area, and they're just keeping it locked down. Poker's there. going on the rocket punch, and Leaf immediately disengages again. You realize this. He recognizes Craggy as the meteor strike. Soundbar are going to be trying to keep them all alive into the tail end of this fight.
It's a good opening here so far. The barrier, the Lin goes down! Lin taken down by the self-destruct. They don't get to layer the support ultimates, and the plan has gone awry as GamersOrigin is able to clear them out of their territory.
Leaf, you don't even need to go for that kill, lad. You can just go straight back to the rest of your team, but he realizes the fight is won. Singularity have lost it. They ended up using a sound barrier for it, whereas GamersOrigin did use the Transcendence. So, interesting turn of events. This will most likely be the final push here. They have a Transcendence to use on the side of Singularity, but if they keep getting picked off, like we've been mentioning, it's going to be so difficult for them.
This actually isn't bad for them in terms of ult situations. Yeah. I think their dream here is that you open the Transcendence, give Mende a little bit of room, let him use the Deadeye, and just avoid early picks here, and that's a very good start.
Excellent stuff indeed. Mende now has the high ground advantage for him. They picked up Leaf. That's what they were looking for. Mende still has this Deadeye available, and with that follow-up pick onto Harding, this could be good for them. Still, he's going to be running him down. Along with that, look at this peel that's connecting onto Mende. They focus him down immediately. They realize he had the Deadeye available to them. One tick on the board, and now ZP, but really, are they going to be able to get the players onto the point?
It's going to be difficult. GamersOrigin respawns are coming in. Their tanks are still alive, and Mendez can buy so much time with this Primal Rage. I got handed to GamersOrigin. Their isolation of Mende, they didn't let him get what could have been a game-winning Deadeye, and they gave themselves time for respawns to come back in. GamersOrigin, they're going to win map number 3, and they are going to take the series.
That is just a sign of a team that knows exactly what's up, because they recognize Hardest was going to have the Deadeye. They recognized that he was going to be a problem if they let him utilize it on the high ground. And committing the 2 tank players on your team to focus them down, as you mentioned, beautiful bit of play by GamersOrigin there, just to think ahead a little bit and really lock down the play that they knew was going to be a problem. After they picked down Mande, they could just immediately focus back onto the point, and it didn't even matter if they got a single tick.
And they also knew they could delay a bit, right? Like, they had the Primal Rage in reserve. They knew that worst case scenario, Mendez was going to jump around for a little while. They get another round of respawns. But they knew that the McCree would be out of the fight. So that was very nice decision making from the front line of GamersOrigin, especially given how deadly a Deadeye can be from that position.
Yeah, absolutely, and it could have completely turned things around with the new and improved Deadeye. The recent changes made to it, it's been buffed recently with the damage being increased, and the charge time, the charge rate of it, the rate at which it locks down. But that is interesting now because, you know, Sideshow, he was predicting it was going to be a free one. You know, he was thinking that this was going to be their map to lose on Hanamura, and he might have been right if it was week 1, but, you know, at the end of the day, GamersOrigin, they've learned from their mistakes.
GamersOrigin was much improved there, where it did seem like the first time around Hanamura, they weren't quite on page with how to run the Doomfist there, but with a week comes another week of practice, and Singularity now looking down the barrel where they have to get a map win here just for tiebreaker purposes, but seems difficult.
Absolutely. So Dorado will be the map we're going to be moving into for this final map of this set here. And as you mentioned, ZP, they're playing for the tiebreaker now at this point. You know, it is going to be GamersOrigin that have won this set now. So it is primarily they're going to be playing for sort of the playoffs to I guess, equalize out, potentially might make it into playoffs here. Singularity are one of the teams that I'd pin that could be competing for that sort of playoff spot later down the line. Again, it is quite early to tell, as it is only week number 2. But GamersOrigin, you know, we keep talking about them, but they have shown up here at this event. People were predicting them to sort of be maybe at the bottom of the table when it comes to it, but they've just been rocketing ahead. And I don't mean that because Leafs are good Doomfist, you know. they have literally just been storming ahead in terms of the leaderboards.
It's going to be interesting to see this GamersOrigin team evolve, though, because you've seen this before where early on in a meta, you see one team get ahead by playing something really well. But now GamersOrigin, they've also put a target on their backs. People now have 2 weeks of footage of Leaf. They know what to expect in terms of dealing with this Doomfist McCree setup. So GamersOrigin, well done for taking the first 3 maps here. But I am curious to see how they adapt and how other teams adapt to them as we roll forward into Contenders.
Yes, well, Dorado as the map point, as the map pick, I should say, for Singularity here. And it's interesting you mentioned that about how they're going to be dealing with Leaf as we go further into Contenders. No doubt in my mind, we will probably be seeing changes to Doomfist. And it'll be interesting to see how GamersOrigin actually do end up adapting to it. You know, Leaf himself has said that Doomfist is in a, you know, of course Leaf would say it, but he says that he's in a pretty good position, you know. Maybe that's because Leaf is biased and he's absolutely slamming all the competition as Doomfist. Maybe not, but I mean, here you get a little bit of a sneak peek at what you really actually can do with his abilities and his skill sets. You might have noticed if you look carefully in the game every now and then, Leaf goes for the rocket punches and whatnot, and it knows all the quirks to it. But let's talk about the composition, ZP, as we're starting to get into the defense.
Well, you're taking a look at the defense here from GamersOrigin, and this is more of the same, right? Where they're running their tank-heavy setup that can provide protection to the Doomfist, provide space for the McCree. Meanwhile, you look at Singularity, they're also going for Tried and True, which is just the standard dive competition with a Tracer Genji, and they're not wasting any time here. They're diving right in, but also getting disrupted. GamersOrigin, they don't even blink.
Oh my goodness, Nerf almost fell there straight away off the bat. In fact, Craggy is also very, very weak, has to back off for now. And GamersOrigin, they get the rotation around. If you get a good foothold here at this choke point, you can hold it for a good minute or two, maybe even full hold if the team is realistically good enough, but we haven't seen that in quite some time. Now Leaf is just getting away with absolute murder in the back lines. Will he fall? Man, they almost got him.
They almost got him, but GamersOrigin able to heal up here. The Reinhardt very good at holding the choke point here, especially when you have Doomfist to regulate the back. However, Danny going to get desuited here, and Leaf gets the cleanup. This is where Doomfist excels later on in a fight, especially with McCree. Very strong cleanup crew here from GamersOrigin.
It's interesting to watch Leaf's playstyle because he plays Doomfist in an almost patient role compared to other Doomfist players. A lot of players, when they choose to opt in for the Doomfist, they lead in and they initiate with that player to go in with a rocket punch, but Leaf actually has a lot of trust for his team to try and make the plays happen. Now we see them trying to push through this choke point ZP, and they're just being met with the brick wall of Reinhardt's shield.
Well, it also could be a brick hammer here in just a moment. Mendez has the early Earth Shatter set up, and this is where teams can sometimes underestimate how quick Reinhardt can get that. He drops a hammer, they're going to speed right in, and they're going to connect. Mendez, an unfortunate victim of that Earth Shatter, and Leaf there for the follow.
Yeah, indeed. If they can get Lin to try and pressure it and push out his own Transcendence a little bit early, that would be pretty good for GamersOrigin, but the advantage they have now is 2 support ults online for Singularity. They can rotate them around and work off of it, but the important thing to note, Poco, he has the Graviton Surge. Leaf has the Meteor Strike. We've seen what they're capable of on Dorado nonetheless.
And Poco right now gets to hold on to that Graviton. Singularity looking to move in, but Poco is there. The Graviton connects, pulls in 3 and forces out the sound barrier, but Leaf majestically soaring in from above, grabs Calyx off the fall through, and GamersOrigin will hold strong.
Mendez still in the back, causing all sorts of disruption. The Primal Rage from Nerfed as well will force them back to a degree. Lin actually opting to use his Transcendence to try and fight this out. Mendez, he gets Earth Shattered down. He's absolutely controlled to a T. This is beautiful work by GamersOrigin, and they force him back. Wonderful baiting of ultimates.
Let's just note one thing here. Mendez got a very quick Earth Shatter, and he's already up to 48% again. Singularity didn't expect that, but even on the casting end, I'm not even sure we realized Mendez had Earth Shatter up that quickly.
That's ridiculous.
I understand the mistake now from Singularity, but now they're down to their final minute and 20 seconds here, Bren, against a crazy defense.
That is utterly bonkers, the fact that he's got that charge up so quickly, and Leaf with the entry frag again onto Calyx. They bring him down. Artist does get denied up. The Deadeye will pick up another kill onto Mendez. A minute remaining. Singularity have got to try and make a push happening. Goodness me. GamersOrigin, what a team.
In case you're just curious about how you stop a rampaging Genji, that's how you stop a rampaging Genji. A good Earth Shatter, put an end to the crime of opportunity Singularity thought they were going to commit. Now, down to the final minute, Singularity going to have to put a lot into this D.Va self-destruct.
I don't believe the charge rate that Mendez is doing is Singularity just feeding bodies into him, and he's building it up. Poco almost has the Graviton to rotate it around. This is looking almost impossible for Singularity. They've got to get off some nutty plays if they want to try and defend this Leaf. Falls weak, tries to peel back with the rest of his team. Now the dive will commit onto him, but the heals are there.
And this is where Danny, he's going to take his opportunity to self-destruct into the sky. Fireworks abound, and it connects. It grabs Heap into the back. GamersOrigin, though, not getting this up just yet. They counter with the Graviton sound barrier, and they even out the fight. Craggy, this is your moment to shine. We talked about your Tracer, but it doesn't matter. Your backline has been decimated by that burly man with a big fist.
This is ridiculous. Leaf! Oh, Leaf! What are you made of, man? What is that? The bait and switch around the corner. It's so good. The overtime ticks down. The sound barrier by Singularity. They need to try and hammer this home now to have any chance in the slightest, but the team is there. Mendez goes in with a Dragon Blade. It's a last-ditch effort, but it's a nano-boosted Cowboy. He tries to make it work. Does pick up 2, but brought down by the hammer of Mendez.
The Electric Cowboy is nothing but durable. We are in overtime now. Singularity trying to keep anything alive, but they are down to their final 2 players. Zenyatta getting zoned off the cart. Danny trying to buy some time, but inevitability is getting a hold of them here as GamersOrigin getting every bit of cleanup. and should be taking this round.
And they're getting the picks here, ZP, but they are finding the players back in. Remember, there is a bit of an advantage. Leaf is now back in the fight, however. Kellex once again will fall initially. Pippa was the follow-up, and overtime burnt down to a crisp. What a performance by GamersOrigin. Best building up time and time again. The Earth Shatters, the percentage of this man, it was ridiculous.
Well, think about what you have to be doing to build up Earth Shatters that quickly. Not only do you have to be landing good hammer strikes when people aren't looking at you or they're in a bad spot, but you also have to be landing very good fire strikes. That's a case where Singularity was perhaps bunching up a little bit.
Oh, no, I don't believe it. Oh my god, what a bait as well. That was ridiculous.
Look, someone just told him there was a party involved there, and actually it was just Doomfist. Doomfist is not someone you want to party with. He's rather angry.
That's such a classy maneuver as well, just baiting him around the corner. And Leaf, again, prioritizing the back lines when Singularity knew they just didn't have the peel for it. Just a wonderful game sense all around by them. And Singularity, I mean, if you weren't demotivated after those first 3 maps, well, I mean, they certainly will be now.
Not something easy to recover from, because now, to just restate victory conditions here, Singularity, they're going to have an even better defense. They're going to have to stop GamersOrigin and have to be almost perfect in their execution.
This will help.
That level of improvement would be drastic from what we've seen the previous 3.5 maps, so it's not super likely.
Well, Singularity, Kellex is just busting out the beach ball, but I mean, Singularity have most certainly dropped the ball in this game as it stands. And GamersOrigin will most likely be going for the classic composition they're running. They might take it a little bit more lightly, you know, possibly try some compositions they're not too certain with. You see, Hardest is teasing the idea of a Reaper. And Singularity, they realize they have to go all out. We see Craggy, he's on the Torbjorn. It's not uncommon when teams need to get the full hold going.
Really, historically, you'd see Torbjorn and a Symmetra. You used to have double builder defenses in Overwatch. Don't really see it all that often nowadays, but, you know, one can dream. In any case, take a look at the offense. We do have something a little bit new here. We had a Reaper in play that is now McCree. Hardest deciding that he doesn't want to be quite that edgy today.
Interesting to note that they've got Poco on the Zarya as opposed to the D.Va here. So a bit of a switch up here. Normally you see Best alongside the D.Va player. But this rate, they're going to be rating Poco with his Graviton Surge. And this does make sense to a degree, doesn't it? Because realistically, all GamersOrigin really need is one good Graviton Surge, and they just won the map.
It makes sense. And also we have a swap up here. Best decides he doesn't really want to dive into the turrets and that entire backline. Instead, GamersOrigin, they're going to take this slow and steady. They swap to the Reinhardt composition. And really, with the amount of time they have here, Bren, they can just grind this out. It's up to Singularity to make the crazy plays to get on them. And now Singularity has to move.
Okay, battle of attrition, I was going to say, but losing those 2 players, Leaf adds us back with the rocket punch, lands it into Mande, and will bring him down initially. Still, the kill's going to be flowing. Torbjorn turret's giving him a little bit of trouble, as well as Pippu ended up falling in the back lines to it, but still this fight will continue. It is the attackers, after all, that have that spawner advantage.
And they're using that spawn advantage right now, although they're using it to just continually dive the Danny, so not as useful as you might think. The bigger thing there where Singularity gets out of the fire is that if GamersOrigin was able to keep momentum, Craggy might not have been able to get back at Seppa's turret. Now he has time to get back in and utilize the molten core that he's built up.
I don't know if I like the idea that GamersOrigin is sticking with, now they switch Best to Reinhardt. I mean, I would have preferred to have seen a much more divey sort of composition to try and punish Singularity's over-aggression, but regardless of that, now they're going for a much more stationary, slow-moving, again, battle of attrition, and here comes the Graviton Surge. Liz will use the Transcendence to keep them alive, so realistically, the Graviton not getting maximum value that they were looking for.
The Graviton, all it did was bring out the Transcendence, but Singularity so far withstanding. They're getting poked down quite a bit, but able to hold on here at this point. And Craggy, so far, he's been very good in this Torbjorn, making things difficult for GamersOrigin just with the turret into the back.
Now, I think they were counting on Leaf with his own little meteor strike to try and clean up with the Graviton Surge there, but regardless, they are pushing in thoroughly, to be honest. And this push is, again, a battle of attrition. They've got the damage mitigation with the shields.
It's a battle of attrition, and now GamersOrigin, they are in a great position. Best drops the hammer. It's good. Will lead to the D-Mech here early on. Now GamersOrigin, so close to the yellow box of victory. They just need a little bit more as Leaf gets the leap right into the back.
And looking like this right now, Leaf just making absolute destruction all over it, painting a pretty picture indeed. The kill feed is filled with blue, and GamersOrigin will be the winners of map number 4, taking it 4-0 against Singularity. What a performance indeed.
GamersOrigin leading the way in EU competition for usage of Doomfist. They did so in week 1, they do so in week 2. Leaf, proving to be an inspiration for plenty of people here, Bren.
It is indeed. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be going back, reviewing the clips, the little things that he likes to do on Doomfist, and he has shown that Doomfist is one of the more paramount heroes in this current meta game that's been developing. And my goodness, indeed. Here's the play of the game. You see Hardest just destroying them on the McCree. Look at that. Flick of the wrist will find the kill. But again, we talk a lot about Leaf, but it is almost entirely the Leaf show at the end of the day, because he's just been performing time and time again on this one role that people just aren't accustomed to.
He's opening things up rather heavily as well there too, where Craggy normally would probably be more wary of the McCree. It'd be, where's the McCree? Where is he going to come from? But if you're worrying about Leaf, suddenly you're not thinking about the McCree as much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that entire game was just one big almost slaughter for GamersOrigin. We thought that Hanamura was going to slip them up to a degree, but again, they just learned from the mistakes from the previous week. GamersOrigin definitely a team that's probably going to be doing quite well.
All right, guys, to talk about Doomfist and all of his heroics that we just witnessed, we're throwing it to Puckett and the boys.